Hello YouTube world, this is TigerLily. Thanks for checking out the third of a three-part series about cops. A note about part 1. The final number of killed by police in 2014 is 1,100 people. It still averages to 3 killings of people by police every day in the USA. A shout out to A. Nixon, who has been critiquing my work. He sent me a link to a USA Today article that reported that the number of felony suspects fatally shot by police last year, 461, was the most in 2 decades, according to a new FBI report. I need to address this number. First, we're talking about 461 felony suspects, not convicts. I have a problem with people who sanction cops to be prosecutors, judges, and executioners. And without any details about those shootings, it would be hard to know how many of these killings were moral self-defense killings and how many of them were law-sanctioned murders. Second, there are so many laws on the books that the average person commits 3 felonies a day without even knowing it. For example, if you receive junk mail addressed to someone other than you, like a past occupant of that address, if you open that piece of mail, you've just committed a felony. Third, this report does not count the countless others that were killed by cops. No governmental agency that I know of keeps track. If you find one, send it to me. But know that I don't trust the competency or veracity of these government-paid bean counters. I want to see the raw data, like the one I provided in part 1 of this series. In the second vid, I demonstrated how the line-of-duty cop deaths reported in the media are grossly exaggerated. In this third segment, I'm going to first examine the funerals of these cops, and then I'm going to suggest alternatives of protection that we should strive to achieve in order to put these heinous government gangsters out of business. Let's get started. We see historical movies and understand the immorality of tax collectors for kings and queens who did nothing but be born into royalty. And when leaders and their protectors died, those funerals were as big a deal as a royal wedding. We cheer the underdogs to beat those nasty tax collectors who abused the commoners to be rewarded by their royal highnesses. We are relieved to see those ancient people assert their humanity and self-ownership. But we're civilized now, right? Or are we? Have we been brainwashed to believe that we are free? Or have we just changed the terminology and semantics just a tad to modernize our slavery? Our rulers are not kings and queens. For the most part, they're called presidents, governors, and senators. We religiously believe we are not slaves because we were told so in school, that our government is the best because it's democratic. But isn't democracy just a fancy word for mob rule? It's not like you could vote to be free from rule.
And you know that voting is a pitiful plea. It is a beg. Please, master, give me back a little bit of what you have stolen. The reality of the state is that they'll take whatever they want from you because they have the guns and the jails and the military. And that they will attempt to bribe you to get you to participate and give them moral sanction for their theft by getting you to participate in a system that allows you to choose this, that, and the other. Of course, you can only choose your master. You can't choose not to be a slave, which of course is why the whole thing is so patently ridiculous.
Our modern-day rulers get their power by using warriors that we call law enforcers. We have been brainwashed to believe that we need them to protect us from bad people. But are they protecting us from bad people? Or are they protecting the modern ruling class? Our modern-day rulers take good care of their warriors by granting them raises and benefits, and by including them in the lawmaking process. Cops are praised, rewarded, and cherished by the rulers, and the media makes sure we get sucked into this false belief that they are somehow more special and more virtuous than the rest of us. What's that? I should be grateful to have cops who put their lives on the line to protect me? That is bull-loney. Because in 2005, the Supreme Court of this land ruled that the police are under no legal obligation to protect us. Therefore, their only legal role is to enforce laws. The more laws, the more ways unsuspecting people can accidentally break them, and the more ways these enforcers can collect money for our rulers and slaves for our prison system. And with cops killing 3 people a day, many in broad daylight in front of cameras and witnesses, and no justice for the innocent that they slay, it's no wonder people are getting pissed and turning against people in this profession. Who do you call for protection if the Supreme Court ruled cops don't have to, and if it's the cops that are violating you. So if cops abuse, rob, kill, and treat us like shit, why should we honor them in their death as if they were some sort of heroes? Yet, when one of these cops gets killed, oh my God, it's as if Princess Di herself had died. These cops have gotten so out of control with unchecked power, backed by the top rulers, that when one ruler, like the mayor of New York City, when he asked his cops to behave, the top of the NYPD killer pack, named Pat Lynch, chastised the mayor publicly, blaming him for the 2 NYPD cops who were killed in an ambush. Just listen to this guy's arrogant and elitist tone to his own boss, the mayor.
There's blood on many hands tonight. Those that incited violence on the street under the guise of protest, that tried to tear down what New York City police officers did every day. We tried to warn, it must not go on, it cannot be tolerated. That blood on the hands starts on the steps of City Hall in the office of the mayor. Starting today, we started the mourning for our brother police officers. They're heroes, their fathers, their brothers, their children. That's the men we lost today. So starting in the next couple of hours and going for a number of days, New York City police officers, through their sadness, will straighten their shoulders, stiffen their backs, and mourn for these families. We'll mourn for our city, and we'll mourn for our brothers.
It makes more sense that the mayor's actions did more to calm protesters than to incite them. Given the atrocities that NYPD was committing, the mayor's actions likely prevented a bloodbath of cops. And this repulsive, Fonzie, wannabe, loudmouth ass clown couldn't take a little criticism. What's more, he incited his gangster colleagues to turn their backs on the mayor, their boss. Now, when I was in the Marines in '79, if a general had entered my premises and I had not stood up at attention, I would have been court-martialed. So if these NYPD boys and girls in blue had the nutsacks to turn their back on the boss in broad daylight in front of the world's cameras to show their contempt and disrespect for their boss, can you just imagine what kind of shit they do to their victims when they don't think anyone is watching? And yet, despite what is becoming more and more obvious to the public about the true nature of law enforcers, a nation of idiots mourned their deaths, and a media frenzy ensued to glorify them. JetBlue offered free flights to send police officers to pay respects. Does JetBlue give a shit about the ambushed officers? My guess is that the vast majority of mostly white Americans are so programmed to honor the badge that the JetBlue service was one of advertising. And I bet JetBlue got a nice tax break from doing this ridiculously transparent act of advertising. And what the hell did the 2 ambushed NYPD cops do to deserve such adoration and respect anyways? Did they invent something that benefited humanity? Did they die while saving someone? No! They were sitting in their car on taxpayer dime, collecting stolen money like parasites and not doing anything, good or bad. Sure, I agree that killing isn't good. I don't even believe in death penalties. And certainly their death was cause for somebody to grieve, spouses, friends, family. But international attention? Come on! Their profession was not a virtuous one, quite the opposite. Their job was to victimize peaceful people by enforcing laws with zero regard for whether their actions were moral or not. They were unthinking robots, too stupid to avoid an ambush. Check out the first video in the series and learn more about the evils of the law enforcement profession. Now, I'm not saying that cops' lives don't matter. I'm saying that collectively their lives matter less than a janitor who earns a wage by performing a productive service. Cops' lives matter less than the stay-at-home mom who has devoted her life to producing a peaceful, productive, intelligent, sane human being. cops' lives matter less than that of even a prostitute who sells her body. Now, I don't condone prostitution, but you have to admit that prostitutes voluntarily provide a service to horny men who might otherwise rape or molest an unwilling victim. So in a way, prostitutes should be credited for reducing the number of rapes. When is the last time a cop helped you even fix a flat tire or helped an elder cross the street safely? Nope, that's not their job. Their job is to use force to control our behavior in the name of duty. Now, I know that in my lifetime there will always be a criminal element from which we need protection. My first advice is to arm yourself and your family with your own firearms, because calling on government-paid police officers can be fatal. My second advice is to begin to envision privatizing protective services, because face it, this law enforcement beast controlled by government with jackasses like the Fonz is like a Titanic that just needs to sink. As much as it hurt to see Detroit go bankrupt, their lack of money to fund cops has breathed new life into true capitalism, and policing there is privatized. Check it out.
My name is Dale Brown, founder of the Threat Management Center, located in Detroit. What Threat Management Center represents in general is how to properly manage human threats to create the most nonviolent outcome possible. I started in 1995 in the security capacity, helping the community deal with violent criminals. We're doing home invasions and murders in our area. I would call police, I would constantly reach out, and what I found was there was a general apathy and complacency where law enforcement was just not interested as a group. There were certain officers that were motivated, and those community-oriented officers bonded with our organization, and we were able to, with their assistance, create a condition where all the murders, home invasions, and other types of violent crimes stopped. And it just took a couple of good officers, and my staff consisted initially consisted just of me, a dog, and a rifle. And then it just grew from there. I just got volunteers from the community to help out. I got the building owners to give me one free apartment in each building and a small financial stipend. It didn't take much money, but it took lots of self-sacrifice. The key was to put the protection of the families before my own, and to think about one thing, which was good quality of life for the people there. And the way to do that was to use not the legal system to prosecute people, but to prevent the conditions which could lead to violent encounters. And that includes having heroic law enforcement officers out there putting themselves at risk, not thinking about themselves, not thinking about getting home to their families safely at night, but thinking about the citizens getting home to their families first and foremost. We need that kind of policing. The kind of policing we have right now typically is an officer thinking about their own safety, and that's what they're taught. That false thought process means they can't truly protect anyone appropriately. The cornerstone for protection is love, not violence, not guns, not laws. You cannot and you will not truly protect anything that you do not love. But if you love something, love someone, love people, you can protect them, and it starts with yourself. Having people that love themselves, love their family members, love their community, love people in general, those are the people that can protect the best, because they will put themselves at risk for others, and that is the key. That level of intention and dedication is the key to stopping violent predatory behavior. We constantly recruit. We're a performance-based organization. We are not looking for people, and we do not accept people who are human predator oriented. So people that like to fight or people that like to shoot people. A lot of times guys come back from the military organizations, and I have to be careful, because we're not looking for the kind of mindset that says, you know what, it's okay to use violence as long as you can legally explain it. We're looking for, and then the people that cannot afford our services, we help them for free. The reason that we can do that is because there is a healthy profit margin left over from excellence from providing for our major corporations. And in 20 years, none of us have had a court date, and more importantly, none of us have been killed. And the most important, no one who's ever come to us for help in 20 years has ever been injured or killed after coming to this organization.
I hope that gave everybody some food for thought. Now, lastly, I'm constantly being told by those who worship at the statist altar that I need to love the USA or leave it. Well, I didn't ask to be born on this dirt that we call the USA, and I did my time in the Marines when I was younger and I didn't know any better. But really, where would I go? There is no place on the planet yet where some ruler hasn't put a claim on it. Every nation state has its own monopoly on violence, and what people in the US are failing to recognize is this.
Well, look, we have to make a distinction here. One is America, which is a marvelous idea, a unique idea, fantastic idea. I'm extremely pro-American, but America has ceased to exist. It's been replaced by the United States, which is just another of 225 nation states that covers the face of the earth like a skin disease at this point. So we ought to make that distinction, and people shouldn't conflate these two things, the ideal with the political reality.
That was Doug Casey, an investment guru who articulated perfectly how I feel about America. So I'm here to stay for now, and if my message is so repugnant for you to bear, don't listen. Bury your head in the sand or scream insults to me from behind your keyboard. But know that this immoral business of law enforcement will one day end. Until then, I ask cops to please treat people with decency, watch your back, and try not to get ambushed. Better yet, get a job that actually produces something of value. Or if you're one of those rare decent cops who truly gives a shit about humanity, start your own private protection service like the one in Detroit. If you managed to get to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. This is TigerLily, reminding everyone that the only decent thing that any elected official can do today is to repeal laws, fire cops, and support privatizing everything. Have a great day.